It's Friday, October 16, and tonight on Joy News Prime, police arrest 5 suspects so far in connection with murder of Infantsiman MP Eko Kwansa. Hayford will bring you the details. Meanwhile, the police says it is ready to provide armed guards for MPs after certain operational conditions have been satisfied by the Interior Ministry and the Parliamentary Service. 6 Chinese nationals arrested for illegal mining in the Ashanti region.
We are here to stop individuals parading as security personnel to rob legitimate miners of their produce.
There are fresh calls for accountability from government by the minority on the use of COVID-19 funds. Even as Parliament approves a loan to cushion 5,000 farming households. The majority, however, says the call is premature. In business,
Food and Agriculture Organization ranks Ghana as leader in food security as it touts the Plentiful Food and Jobs Initiative as a comprehensive agricultural program.
The government has flagship programs to improve productivity, as well as for rearing for food secure jobs in one district, not just focusing on agriculture production, but on the whole value chain for production and for food. So I would say Ghana is actually a leader. Of course, there's always room for improvement.
And there's a real estate company promising to let you move into a brand new house and pay rent to eventually own it. It's one of the features of this year's Joy News Habitat Fair, which opens this weekend with the mini fairs. Just stay tuned as we unveil the Rent to Own initiative right here on Joy News Prime. My name is Israel, and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Alpha studios at Kokomlimli here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Do stay tuned in. Now, first story, state prosecutors are pushing to have a leaked tape said to be the voice of NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo admitted into evidence at an Accra High Court. The politician and another member of his party, Kweku Boahing, have been accused by state prosecutors of plotting to undertake series of criminal activities targeted at EC chairperson Jean Mensah and others, including national security operatives. They have since denied the allegations and described the audio as doctored. Court correspondent Joseph Akable reports police investigators say they have forensically analyzed the leaked tape. There is more in the following report.
Police investigator Inspector Bernard Berko said the Israel Forensic Science Institute had successfully analyzed the leaked tape by comparing it to another audio that has the NDC chairman addressing a gathering. He informed the court the leaked tape was obtained from Accra-based radio station Adom FM. A recording of an interview Kweku Boahing granted the same radio station was also obtained. He revealed the police confronted the 2 accused persons with the tapes, but aside from describing them as doctored, they exercised their right to remain silent. He continued that Mr. Ampofo, after the police interrogation, addressed the party supporters at the CID headquarters. This is what has been attached to the leaked tape to carry out the analysis. Mr. Ampofo's lawyers, led by Tony Lita, indicated their intention to object to the leaked tape being accepted as evidence. They, however, asked that the court place it to the hearing of all before they raised the objection. After 15 minutes of the audio playing, Director of Public Prosecution Yvonne Atakro-Buobisa said they had given a wrong sound file to the court and that this audio does not capture the entire recording. She therefore urged the court to grant an adjournment. Justice Samuel Esiede granted a request adjourning proceedings to November 19 for continuation. The full audio is to be played, after which the objection regarding the admissibility of the audio will also be heard. Afterwards, if it's accepted, the forensic analysis report will be submitted to the court for scrutiny.
Member of Parliament for Medina Abubakar Boniface Siddiq has ruled out the possibility of a civil war come December 7, as has been predicted by at least one security analyst. In an interview with an online portal earlier this week, international relations and security expert Dr. Vladimir Chudanso said security agencies in the country must put stringent measures in place because the country is, quote, likely to be plunged into a civil war as the signs are clearly written on the wall, end quote. But in an interview with Latif Idris, the Medina MP challenged those predicting doom to show evidence, whilst discounting the possibility and expressing confidence that Ghanaians will not destroy the democracy they've built over the years.
As far as candidature is concerned, I'm not seeing anybody as being so a threat to me. All I know is I'm working towards attracting voters to vote for me.
You feel your seat is secure?
Secured.
What makes you, or what gives you that confidence?
What gives me that confidence and secured is the kind of development that I've taken into the constituency. Under education, I give scholarships to students. Presec, last year, fizzled out of the maths and science quiz. WAS came first runner-up, that is, they were second. I came, I rewarded them, I encouraged them, I gave them some funds to go and buy books and learn hard. Today, Presec has come first. So that's the encouragement.
About sharing in the glory of Presec.
Exactly. And two, when you see things that are needed to boost education, I have done them. Baba Yara, go there today. This particular was just a down floor building. Today it's a story building. First infrastructure, social infrastructure I took to Medina was in Zungu, AstroTurf. The first 3 stadia to be built in the Zungus. Medina was first. You see, everything that I've shown are not fake pictures. These are things that have been done within the 3.5 or 3 years, 10 months. And you can see the points. My fear is to ensure that we conduct these elections in a free, fair, and a very nice manner in this country.
That is the fear many people also have. That's this year's elections, some have predicted civil war on December 7. What are you picking on the ground as a minister and also member of parliament? What signals are you picking?
Question is, who are the Ghanaian people who are going to carry out civil war? When we are talking of civil war, normally, it's not how do you identify an NDC person or you identify an MPP person. It's not written on the body. Civil wars come about especially on tribal or ethnic lines. When you go to Volta region today, we have MPP there, you have NDC there. When you go to Ashanti, we have MPP, we have NDC. Please, don't hype this thing to make some people important. For me, there will never, ever in this country be a civil war. It can only be a political fight, not a civil war in this country. I challenge anybody, any security expert, to tell me there will be civil war in this country. So people should not go touting and say this year, whether you like it or not, it is already ordained. The die is cast. Whoever will win will win. That thing will not go anywhere. If there would have been a civil war, there could have been a civil war in 2012.
The Ghana Police Service has confirmed that 5 persons have been arrested in connection with the murder of the Member of Parliament for Infantsiman Constituency, Eko Kwansa Hayford. The police in a test post on its Facebook page will not provide much detail except to say 5 persons have been arrested in connection with the murder of the Member of Parliament for Infantsiman Constituency, Honorable Eko Kwansa Hayford. They are being taken through lawful police procedures. Further updates will be given in due time. Now, joining us live now is Central Region correspondent Richard Kodunyak, who has been following the story since it broke. Now, Richard, what more can you tell us about these arrests?
So, Izzy, yesterday we had information that 2 persons have been arrested. So, it does not surprise the constituents that now they are hearing that they are 5. In fact, it excites them, but they say that what will make it complete is that the right persons have been arrested. They will take them through the lawful processes, and then they will get them convicted. They do not want any situation whereby it will get to a point that they will not be hearing anything about the supposed killers of the Member of Parliament. But when they heard this news, they were excited, and they are urging the Ghana Police Service to get to the bottom of the matter and get the right people that really visited that thing on their sitting MP.
Now, Richard, what do we know about these 5, if you have any information about them?
Well, we do not know. In fact, the police have kept all the information about these 5 to their chest. They said that unless they conclude their investigations or they get ahead, I mean, in their investigations, they are not releasing the identity of these 5 persons, or they are not telling us anything about the 5 persons. So for now, it's only the police that know the identity of these people that they've arrested.
Now, Richard, do we also know if they were all arrested at the same time, at the same place, or arrested in different places?
What we do know is that they were arrested from separate locations. It's not about, it's not one place that they arrested them. They were arrested in separate locations. And so the police say that they will let the public in on all of these.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard Kojo-Nyako, our Central Region correspondent. Now, closely related to the story is another post by the Ghana Police Service confirming they will provide personal bodyguards to MPs. And it reads, following the attack and murder of the Member of Parliament for Infantsiman East, Honorable Eko Kwansahe, for the police administration will deploy 200 armed police officers to provide bodyguard protection to serving members of Parliament for the duration of their tenure. This will be in addition to the 75 police bodyguards already provided to the leadership and members who double as ministers and deputy ministers. The officers would be deployed as part of the existing police parliamentary protection units after certain operational conditions arranged between the Ministry for the Interior and the Parliamentary Service have been satisfied. Meanwhile, arrangements have been made for all levels of the police command to liaise with respective members of Parliament to provide security. It says the police is ready to live up to its constitutional mandate, working in concert with other security agencies, especially during this election period and beyond. It is signed by Sheila Kessie Abeye Bachman, who's the Superintendent of Police and the Director of Public Affairs. Now, joining us on phone is joining us via Zoom, rather, is criminologist at Cambridge University, Justice Tenkebe. Now, thank you very much, Dr. Tenkebe, for making time to speak with us. There have been a number of developments in the last few weeks in Ghana relating to issues of security. Now, there have been a number of attacks of persons who have been, of politicians mainly, and now it's culminated in the death of the MP for Infantsiman East. What you read from all of these incidents, there are people who are saying that this suggests that there's insecurity in the country. Is that something you agree with, or you have a different view?
Thank you for having me. I think we can say two things. One is to look at the data on the incidents of violent crime and to see what that data might be telling us. And I think if you look at the police's records on violent crimes, say, for example, robberies, murders, sexual violence, we see, and this is analysis that we at the African Institute for Crime, Justice and Policy did recently. And what we found was that if you look at the robbery rates over the last 3 years, they have been up, they have been on the increase. And if you look at them on a monthly basis, you also see that robbery rates are rising. But if you look at murder, you see that we have, at least as at last year when we have the data, the robbery rates have been at their lowest over the last 6 or so years. But even saying they are the lowest really doesn't paint the correct picture. We could say that they have been really stable, around 2 per 100,000 people. The one violent crime that is really quite skyrocketed in Ghana is sexual violence. So I think we can look at it that way and say, what do the data tell us? And what we know also is that police data tend to under-record or under-report the actual incident of violent crimes or any crime for that matter. So anytime the data are telling us that crime rates are rising, we can assume that they are probably indeed rising and probably significantly. So that's the first thing. The second has to do with how people feel. And it is not uncommon for you to have crime rates going down and for people to still feel unsafe. And of course, even when they are rising, people might feel unsafe at a rate that is far greater than, if you like, the trend in violent crime. So I think if someone says they feel unsafe, it is very hard for you to say, no, you don't feel unsafe, right? But if they're saying, well, if we look at data, crime rates are going up or down, that we can say, this is what the data tell us. So I think that's the initial comment that I will make.
Right, so closely related to this is the call, and right now the police actually saying that they are prepared to provide security to MPs. And the MPs issue has come up because the Mfansma MP was killed, and so the MPs are saying they feel unsafe, and the police say, okay, we're going to provide you with the personal bodyguards. Now, again, the citizens are saying, why are we giving preferential treatment to the MPs? Why don't you make the country safe for everybody else, including the MPs? Is this a justified call?
Well, I think this is a question that goes beyond the remit of a criminologist, as it were. But I think in terms of whether this can actually make a difference in the threats that MPs might be experiencing, I think what we can say is that, of course, having an armed individual readily available to intervene if an MP is under attack would seem to make sense. Now, whether the individual can actually make such a huge difference is an open question. I mean, we know that no forms of security for any individual is foolproof. And the other question we have to ask, and I think some have already asked that question, is what we mean by the safety of an MP. Do we define the safety in terms of random attacks that the MP might suffer? Or we are thinking about it in terms of a more targeted threat to that MP? If the threat is more targeted at that individual, then you can see that the security interventions that you require are much more than just one single armed police officer. And I think that's the way we have to try to look at it. And the other point we could make is that, of course, and again, it relates to the point that I made earlier, having that armed individual might make an MP feel safe. But is he indeed safe? Has the threat against him indeed been minimized by the fact of having this one individual present? And I think we also have to make the point that I don't think our security services are relying on just a single police officer to protect an MP. I'm sure they're doing a lot of background work, assessing threats to all sorts of individuals, all sorts of citizens, not just MPs. And if they find such threats, they might disrupt them, and we might never hear about those threats. So I think there are a lot of things going on in that respect. Whether as citizens we are prepared to have MPs' so-called safety prioritized, that I think is a democratic question that we can all share our views.
But there have also been people who say that if we're providing 200 MPs or 200 police officers to MPs, that undermines the general security or protection that's available to the rest of the population, because it takes the troops away from the public. Is that something that you also agree?
I don't want to sound like someone who is defending a policy intervention, but what I would say is that we don't know what work a police officer does. I mean, not that we don't know who is doing patrols, who is doing investigations, we know. But how much time is required to officer to do that? And is that work, for example, work being done by 2 officers? Can it be done by 1 officer? We do not know that. And I'm sure that the police administration will be making those kind of audits or assessment to be able to free up personnel for other duties. The second point, and I think others have already raised this, is that it is not the case that currently if you have, let's say, 100 police officers at Agogo police district, that all 100 officers are somehow out there on patrols doing investigative work or responding to calls for service. They are not doing that. Indeed, the more commercial the district, you will find that the more police officers are out guarding facilities rather than attending to everyday police citizens' calls for service. And when you speak with police commanders, as we have done last couple of years, interviewing district and divisional commanders across the country, one of the things that they complain about is just the sheer number of their officers who are not available to them for everyday police duties. And so if we really want to have a discussion about this, it needs to be a broader discussion about what police officers should do and how can we make a smarter use of their time. And I think that has to be part of the discussion. And of course, what that suggests is that there might be immediate or short-term considerations that we have to give, but in the medium and long term, what is it that we can do to improve the safety, not just of MPs, but of every citizen to the extent that that is possible? And what is it that might be generating that kind of insecurity? And one thing we have to say is that you will hardly find a society that is deeply unequal the way that our society is, the way that most societies across sub-Saharan Africa are, and for people, or especially people in power, to feel safe, right? The more unequal the society, the greater the crime rates, the higher the feelings of insecurity. And so there are those underlying issues that we have to try to press our authorities to try to address. And one of those issues indeed is the level of corruption in any country. And so there are a lot of things that I think should feed into the discussion.
All right.
But we need to sometimes also defer to the police. They have the resources. They know what kind of assessment they have made and what it is that they think they can do now, probably as they think about everybody else's security within that same calculus.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Justice Tankebe. Dr. Justice Tankebe is a criminologist. He's at Cambridge University. Now, there's fresh demand for accountability from government on how money is meant to cushion the public against the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been spent over the last 6 months. Parliament on Friday approved a $20 million loan from the International Fund for Agricultural Development to finance implementation of emergency support to rural communities. About 5,000 farming households are expected to benefit from cash handouts as part of the scheme. Minority Leader Harun Idrisu says all other COVID-19 related expenditures must be accounted for.
The World Bank and the IMF today estimates that the world will need about 1.2 trillion to overcome the economic challenges of COVID-19. And it's estimated further that globally 43 million people will be moved to adverse poverty arising out of COVID. This is the statistics that has been turned out by both the World Bank and the IMF in the last 1 week, subsequent to the discussion that is going on. What we need, 43 million persons will be thrown into extreme poverty. That's the word that is used. So, Mr. Speaker, we should borrow, but borrow responsibly. This one, are you sure is not, you are not just taking money to go and give away to people as campaign, vote for me, take 500 Ghana. I'm saying, are we saying, you say 570, $100 per person. When you borrow responsibly and borrow to invest. You don't borrow to give it away for free. And as the Minority Whip observed, we have come through a lot of approval by this Parliament, by government. Under COVID, we are demanding accountability as to real disbursement of those monies. Whether it's a 1 billion rapid credit facility, is the money you took under Article 177 from contingency fund of $290 million US, the additional borrowing from the Bank of Ghana. And you know that post-IMF, the decision was that there will be zero borrowing from the Bank of Ghana. Today it's reported that government has borrowed 20 billion from the Bank of Ghana, not 10 billion. This was only reported yesterday in the spring discussion of the World Bank. Now, that 20 billion even runs against the Bank of Ghana and the threshold of borrowing from the Bank of Ghana. Honorable Minority Leader, the government has not borrowed
Well, Majority Leader Osechi Mensah Bonsu says government cannot account for monies yet to be spent. And still staying in Parliament, where the Speaker of Parliament is yet to decide on take a decision on whether to give the Fomena MP or declare the Fomena MP the seat vacant. Based on the letter from the MPP asking him to do that. The MPP in a statement said it had asked the Speaker to declare the seat vacant after it expelled MP Andrews Amwaku Esiama from Parliament for failing to contest as an independent candidate. Majority Leader Osechi Mensah Bonsu says the letter came from the Ashanti regional branch of the MPP and the Speaker is still considering what to do.
Well, I'm told that there's the regional party of MPP has written to the Speaker. I saw a communication to me that they've copied the letter to me, but I've not received my copy. So this morning the Speaker called to see me, and I thought maybe it was going to deal with that matter. Unfortunately, it dealt with some other matter other than that one. So I asked him, and he said yes. His attention has been drawn to it, but he's pondering the content of the letter. But because we were in a hurry to come to the chamber, I did not really interrogate it further to know what he meant by still pondering over it. So that's what I know about it. The letter is not written to me, it's written to the Speaker. So if there is any response, it should come from the Speaker and not me.
But just to be clear, this is coming from the Ashanti regional NPP, not maybe the General Secretary John Boyd.
Oh, not really. I mean, if anybody notices an aberration, right, it doesn't need to be maybe from even the party, okay, right? So that is. Do
you get the sense there is an aberration of a sort with?
I say if anybody notices an aberration, the Speaker is saying that he's going to ponder over the issue. For now, because the letter is not addressed to me, respectfully, I cannot comment.
But a member of Parliament's Legal Affairs Committee, Roxing Dafiamekpo, says the request will not succeed.
The second portion of the provision would have been breached if he had actually written to the party to say that my intention is to leave the majority caucus, but continue to stay in Parliament as a member of Parliament for Fomena. Then in that case, the provision would have been technically breached. But now as we speak, I don't see it being breached. And so you see that it's presented a very difficult problem for leadership of the House. They don't know how to deal with the matter.
How should they deal with it? Should they go ahead and allow MPs to debate and vote on it for the House to take a decision?
We can debate, but that decision lies with the Speaker. So, but you know, when decisions lie with the Speaker does not unilaterally come to take their decision. They allow the House to debate the merits and the demerits before a resolution is passed. But I can tell you that it won't fly. It won't fly because technically it is the party that is driving him out of the caucus. And I even think that there should be internal remediable steps available to him, for instance, to contest the decision of the party to even sack him. Because if you know the antecedents of his problems, he was not even given the opportunity to even file during their primaries. He was denied.
He said he won't because he felt there were problems.
Yes, all those are difficulties. If you take a sitting member of Parliament through those difficulties, you are practically or you are in effect jettisoning him out of Parliament.
On what basis do you get the impression it won't fly? Because it's coming from the party, although today the majority has been clarifying that it's the Ashanti regional branch that actually wrote to Parliament. Yes. And they have the majority here. The Speaker himself is a member of the party. So if the party has taken a decision, on what basis would you be able to say?
Based on law. We'll be doing so based on law. And this matter, it doesn't end with Parliament. If Parliament takes that decision, he can still contest it.
We're taking a break to bring you business. Coming up, Food and Agriculture Organization ranks Ghana as leader in food security, touting Planting for Food and Jobs program as a comprehensive agriculture intervention. We'll be back with that. Stay tuned in.
Good evening, time for business with me, Charles Aitib. The Food and Agriculture Organization ranked Ghana as a leader when it comes to food security. Speaking earlier on Business Live, the Food and Agriculture Organization's representative in Ghana and Deputy Regional Representative Jocelyn Brown Hall listed the Plenty for Food and Jobs program as a major agri-intervention program across, that various African countries must emulate. She spoke earlier on Business Live.
Ghana is a leader in the region and throughout the continent and through the world. There has been significant resources put in the ministries of the various ministries that address food security. Those include not just food and agriculture, but fisheries and aquaculture development. And we just heard from environment. Also, Ghana is the secretariat for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is going to be an incredibly important tool in our food security toolkit. So the government has flagship programs to improve productivity, as well as for rearing for food jobs in one district, not just focusing on agriculture production, but on the whole value chain for production and for food. So I would say Ghana is actually a leader. Of course, there's always room for improvement. We have too many malnourished people in Ghana and throughout the continent and in the globe, and we have people who are eating too much. There's an obesity pandemic as well. So we have a lot of challenges, and that's why our theme is around working on this together. But it's not just about yields to make food available for people. It's the road systems, it's the trucking system, it's the processing system, it's the packaging system. All of these systems need to be in place to ensure that we can get the right food. A country that I've worked in that I won't name could, not Ghana, but another country I've worked in that I won't name, could produce enough of its own rice. But because the infrastructure and the roads were so bad, it was cheaper for people to import rice from the United States than it was for them to actually transport that rice 10 kilometers away because the roads were so bad. So it's not just about the yields, it's about the whole system, the whole value chain, what we call farm to fork or farm to mouth, where we need to focus on and make sure that the food that people need gets to their tables.
Now, radio is the principal medium for receiving climate information by most farmers, and social media happens to be the least. This is part of the findings by the Environmental Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The findings made known at a Climate Information Services workshop in Kumasi saw 74.6% of farmers rely on radio and 2.1% only on social media for climate information. Philip Nchieje is an associate professor at the Environmental Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and he tells us more.
The results of our study show that over 40% of farmers in the study area in Upper East region are not getting access to climate information. And this has implication for our farming communities. These are rainfall dependent agricultural farmers or agricultural systems. And therefore, if they cannot have access to climate information, that will help them to build their capacity to address the effects of climate change. It's a challenge that we need to address. Of course, Ghana's agricultural system is purely dependent on rainfall. It means that anytime there are disruptions in the rain patterns, it affects our agricultural systems. But we also need to understand that as a country, climate change poses or presents significant challenges for the attainment of food security and attainment of our nationally determined contribution that have been submitted to as part of the Paris Climate Agreement. And we need to do whatever is within our capacity to address some of the challenges that is posed by climate change, especially for our smallholder farmers whose livelihoods are being threatened by climate change and its associated impacts. Farmers need to have access to some of these communication gadgets so as to be able to access climate information. Radios, GMED give forecasts on radios, So if farmers cannot have radios to access the information, then they find themselves in difficult position. Television is also another key thing that farmers need to get access to. So it is believed that if farmers have access to own these kinds of gadgets or these kinds of assets, then they can access timely climate information. And we need to be aware that even though climate change presents significant challenges, if farmers can access climate information, they will be able to build their capacity to address the many challenges that are posed by climate change on their livelihoods.
And that'll be all for business for this segment. We are back at 8. Coming up next is sports.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. Gary L. Smith here with the sport. Let's take you to Instagram first. And as we usually do, we let you know what's trending on social media. So, today, finally, Arsenal released the photos of Thomas Partey training in at their training grounds. And so we check the photos now on Instagram. On Joy Sports GH, you can find the photos of Thomas Partey. Let's go through them. The first one. There he is, finally. The pictures that many have been waiting for. So there's more on Thomas Partey there. Quotes ahead of possibly tomorrow's match against Manchester City. Everybody is asking whether he will play. The manager will not be drawn in it, and we'll do that. Now, moving from Arsenal in England to Brekum Arsenal here in Ghana. And it's not good news because the owner of the club, Alhaji Yakubu Moro, has died. His former player is John Pentil, and the co-football administrator as well, have been telling Joy Sports about the kind of man he was in the footballing industry.
Yakubu Moro is an iconic and revered figure within the Ghana football industry. He was the owner of Brekum Arsenal Football Club and produced some of arguably the best players to have donned the national colours. One of such players is John Pencil, who described his demise as a big blow to Ghana football.
When I was in school, and then he has to change my school from Boforidia to Brekum, just for me to focus on football, playing for Brekum Arsenals. I mean, he was somebody that always go for what is right for the team. And he always put the team before himself. Alhaji Yakubu Moro will go up and down every day from morning to evening without food, making sure that everything about Arsenal's preparation to travel is accurate. Everything is set for us to go before he can eat. We lost a great man.
Chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, in an interview earlier today with Joy Sports, described the day of his demise as Black Friday.
Alhaji Yakubu Moro was an embodiment of football. He gave his all to football. He played football in his youthful days, and when he hung his boots, he decided to go into football administration and gave birth to Brekum Arsenal. I've engaged in several encounters when I was the CEO of Ash Gold, be it home or be it Brekum. He was a very affable person. And I just want to say that he has paid his dues to Ghana football. Even at the time he was facing health challenges, he gave his all. Today is a very bad day, a Black Friday for all of us. He has left a big shoe behind. That will be very difficult to fill. And we can write all the tributes in his memory, but he has left an indelible mark on the history of Ghana football.
Alhaji Yakubu Moro was laid to rest as the customary demands of the Islamic religion.
Coaches of the Black Satellite and Starlet, Abdul Karim Zito and Ben Foko, respectively, are confident of the quality of their teams as they prepare for their various international assignments. Zito says he is preparing a team to win the Wafu Zone Championship.
Satellites invited about 140 players to start camping ahead of the Waffle Championship to staged in Togo. On Saturday, coach of the team, Abdul Karim Zito, will prune down the squad to 30 players. He's been speaking about what he has seen so far since inviting the players.
We've been doing our best. We combine a lot of things. We are just out of physical training, the condition. We just enter into football, and then because of the corona, we couldn't get too much matches to play. So we should have started with the low-profile matches before coming down to the high. So we take this one to be one of the low-profile matches. So by the time we play some more matches, about 3 or 4, I think they will come to normal. But so far, so good, no injury, nothing. The only thing I have to tell them is to pray for us. We are going for the ultimate.
Meanwhile, the Black Stars, coached by Ben Foucault, has also been speaking about the quality of his team as they prepare for their international assignments.
Yeah, of course, since we resumed camp just about 2 weeks ago, which we reported to camp. And I think the boys are doing well. They are coping. They are responding to training very well. What they need to pass through before we can raise up a good team, a formidable team for the tournament. They are responding. So I'm happy that the boys are also trying to do well for us to get a good team before the tournament. Although we don't know our opponent yet, but still we need to work out certain things against every player we come across, every country we come across, despite the tactics or information or the plan they play. We are ready for every country.
The two junior national teams have been camping since the early part of September 2020.
That's it for the sport for now. Thank you for your time. I'm Gary L. Smith.
All right, it's time for Showbiz, and Caddy's here. Hello, Caddy.
Yeah, hi, Isjo.
What's coming up?
Yeah, so let's talk about Papi of 5-5. I don't know if you remember them.
Yes.
Mujebaya 5-5. Yeah, now he's back from wherever he went to, and he's saying that there's one thing that he regrets in life, and that's leaving Boo House record label.
Okay.
And they managed him when they did the Mujebaya and then the African Girl and stuff. So this morning he was around. We asked him, and this is what he had to say.
One thing you regret doing?
Leaving Boo House Entertainment.
But he said you're back, so you should...
No, but you're asking what I regret, so yeah, that's the only thing. Apart from that, I don't regret anything else. Yeah, because everything that comes in life is a lesson. It's a lesson. You live and you learn. I'm not emotional with stuff like that, you know? Like, somebody, do something for you, no one do it in choice, so yeah, that's cool. Me, I'm good.
Okay, so you've tested the life as a member of a group, and you are now on a solo project.
Yeah.
Which one would you go for, or which one would you advise any musician to go in for? Be in a group or embark on solo projects?
Personally, doing it alone is better. That's only if you have the talent enough to do it, because it comes with talent too. So, because basically I was supposed to do this alone, and I joined somebody. So it's like the same thing. Like, I believe it's destiny. Like, it's destined to be, because that's my journey. I was supposed to do it alone, and now I'm here. I mean, my friends came to support, to help me out to get to where I am today. So I appreciate, but I feel I'm supposed to do this alone. I've been supposed to do this alone.
That was Papi. And also, let's move on to DKB and Efiodo. Now, a few weeks ago, they were going off at each other on social media because DKB wanted Michael Blackson's number, and Efiodo was like, okay, I won't give you the number. So it was just a banter back and forth.
I had a bit of that conversation. And,
Yeah, so I asked Michael about it to see if Efiodo was right to have given the number to DKB, and this is what he had to say.
Slightly, but I mean, it didn't go any further with me.
So she came out to say the guy is upset with her because he wanted your number from her and she didn't give it.
Yeah, but she's not supposed to do that. Can't go giving out people's number. You know, the best with when I was having connected with Funny Face was through social media. You know, you contacted me, whatever, and we linked up and we met each other and we did something funny together. Like, you know, people don't like to, that's like you saying, hey, I have Drake's number, baby. Because you want Drake's number, I'm not gonna give it to you. Yeah. That's not appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, I probably have to ask Drake, hey, this guy want your number. He's like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I get you.
You know?
Yeah.
We have so many other people calling us. It's like my thing is, even like being here, I got so many people call. I don't know who's who, and I've had my phone number for 21 years, the same number.
What?
I'm not running from anybody. I've had the same phone number for 21 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Like, is it Ghanaian number or?
No, it's American number, but it's the same WhatsApp number. I mean, it's the same American number I've had for 20. I don't have a Ghanaian number, but I mean, if you in Ghana, you have WhatsApp, you can reach me on that number.
Yeah.
I've had that same number for 21 years. So I guess some people that still reach out to me, and it's tough because everybody's reaching out. You know, especially the bigger you get, the more people calling out of nowhere. You can't remember everybody.
Yeah. So the best thing he could have done was send you a DM.
Send me a DM and then just keep trying.
Yeah.
Be the African that we are. We don't quit till you
I tried.
You see, she did it. You know, and the thing about it, and a lot of time entertainers we don't answer. But I try. I mean, I won't open everything, but I'll like scroll down. I'll kind of like judge a book by its cover. So I'm so shallow. But I judge a book by its cover. I'm like, okay, if she's a pretty girl, then I read what's. Before I even open, I read what it says. Like I saw a pretty face and I saw an interview. I'm like, okay, I'll come back to that. And I go down the line. And I'll answer, okay, if somebody's verified, okay, this person might be somebody. Like today, I answer a DM from a verified person that I've never spoken to before. Let me show you who this person is. This person is like freaking one of Ghana's #1 soccer player that plays for Italy.
Oh.
I don't know if you, let me see it. And now we are cool.
But he has an interesting approach to things.
Yes,
and he's talking about the fact he hasn't changed his number in like 21 years.
Yes.
How long have you had your number?
Like 10 years. 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Not changed?
Not changing my number.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because people tend to change it.
Okay, so that's all we have for Showbiz for this evening.
All right, and that'll be it for those of you who are watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. And yes, I haven't changed my number since I got a mobile phone.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
All right. The Senior Staff Association, University of Ghana, will from Monday, October 19, 2020, lay down their tools of what they say is government's failure to address their deteriorating conditions of service. At a news conference in Accra, National Chairman of the Association, Abdul Majid Yusuf, said all attempts to get the government to address their concerns regarding award on market premium and payment of Tier 2 areas of their retired colleagues have all proven futile. There is more in the following report by Kweku Asante.
The Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, will from Monday, 19th October 2020, withdraw its services over what it describes as government failure to address the deteriorating conditions of service of senior staff of public universities in Ghana. Here is Abdul Majid Yusuf announcing the industrial action.
Pursuant to the ultimatum, which was copied to the National Labour Commission, and government's insensitivity to our plight, we hereby declare a withdrawal of our services with effect from Monday, 19th October 2020. All members of the Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, SSAU of G, are required to lay down their tools and hoist red flags across all campuses.
The staff is attributing this to the award of market premium to lecturers and other staff of public universities without considering the senior staff. The association claims this is discriminatory.
The award of market premium to our senior colleagues and comparators in other public institutions, in our candid opinion, was unscientific and discriminatory. It was merely based on academic/professional qualification rather than output-driven. We wish to state categorically that a good number of us within the senior staff cadre are even more qualified academically and professionally than some of our senior colleagues. Furthermore, the award of the market premium does not only defeat the purpose for the introduction of the single spine salary structure, but also seeks to deepen the dam and nurse syndrome that has characterized university administration over the years.
The Senior Staff Association is also complaining about moves by government to migrate universities' payroll to the Controller General's payroll system.
In previous correspondence to government, we enumerated several reasons why universities' payroll should not be migrated to the Controller and Accountant General's payroll system. We reiterate our call to government to stop the subtle moves to do so. Instead, we strongly advocate for a special dispensation akin to that granted to the security services and other public institutions, such as Cocoa Board.
Senior staff of the public universities include administrators and other members who are not lecturers, including accountants, among others. The association also says although they sympathize with government as a result of the financial difficulties it is going through by virtue of the coronavirus pandemic, they want their concerns addressed regardless.
Yes, we all know that the COVID has dealt every Ghanaian a blow. And when the COVID, in fact, was so, let me say, intense, we decided not to do what we are doing now. And we endured whatever every other Ghanaian endured. We gave our support. And we think that government is a going concern. Up to this point, at least we should hear something. The budget, you know, for the next year, you know, has to take.
Staff of the multimedia group have been receiving free health screening from one of Ghana's top laboratories, MDS Lancet. The workers have been undergoing hepatitis B and blood sugar testing. Speaking with Joy News, the Assistant Marketing Manager of MDS Lancet, Alvin Katahina, talked about the need for everyone to know their hepatitis B status.
About 400 staff of the multimedia group are expected to be screened. Assistant Marketing Manager of MDS Lancet, Alvin Katahena, spoke about the various tests conducted.
We're here to screen multimedia staff for blood sugar and hepatitis B. This is part of activities that we are organizing to launch our new Tema Committee 1 branch. We already have one branch in Tema, Committee 9, opposite the Tema General Hospital, but we are opening another one in Tema Committee 1 to make our service more accessible.
Now, you spoke about the hepatitis B testing as well as the blood sugar testing that you are conducting here at the premises of Multimedia Group Limited. What other tests do you conduct?
Well, we have some like kidney function, we have liver function, we have the lipid profiles. We also got your full blood count as well. Now, all these tests I've mentioned are just examples of some of the tests that you do when you want to come and do your routine tests.
Some members of the multimedia group who partook in the testing had this to share about their experience after having gone through the processes involved.
I don't think I have any of the symptoms, so yeah, I'm fine.
Well, I think it's good. Actually, this is my first time.
MDS Lancet is one of the foremost medical laboratories in Africa with offices in Ghana and South Africa.
6 Chinese nationals have been arrested for mining illegally in the farming enclave of Poku Krom in the Ashanti region as government moves in to protect key natural resources from illegal mining. The Sustainable Land and Water Management Task Force also seized 4 excavators used in destroying large tracts of farmland and water bodies in the area. Labour firms Erastus Sasaradongo followed the team on its first assignment at Poku Krom in the Amaset West District of the Ashanti and has filed this report.
The withdrawal of various security task force from illegal mining enforcement regimes has emboldened some illegal miners in the hinterlands. Our only hygienic source of water here has been destroyed. Now our source of water for drinking and farming is gone. These days, we can't farm in the dry season due to polluted water sources. Here at Dato, near Poku Krom, large tracts of farmlands growing cocoa and other crops have been destroyed to serve illegal mining interests. Led by Nana Chum Ajikum, the Sustainable Land and Water Management Task Force is leading an onslaught against the destruction of natural resources. 6 Chinese nationals were arrested here at Poku Krom. They have since been transferred to the Kumasi Central Police for processing. 4 excavators seized from the site have also been sent to Kumasi. Mr. Chum Ajikum says the team seeks to protect natural resources and protect those in legitimate mining.
We
are here to stop individuals parading as security personnel to rob legitimate miners of their produce. We are also here to stop destruction of rivers and streams and illegal mining in the forest by Chinese nationals supported by Ghanaians. Today, we've arrested 6 Chinese and seized about 5 excavators.
edu omoye small scale mining ebia ne se ekromafo yi omu nya agye tum se wase eboa wo because obi entena the krom ema wo ye adwuma ho nya nsuo mu so na Chinese ni aba betena ha na wo ye ade enye o keka ni asan abo aka ho ya chi Chinese for in insia eni anya excavator so be inu.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
Now, the Joy News Habitat Fair, which has been running for a number of years now, has been seeking to address one challenge, finding ways of getting as many Ghanaians as possible to get decent accommodation. The fair has focused on a number of areas in the past, from affordable housing to making or finding ways of making people get to own houses, whichever means possible, be it mortgage and all of that. But this year, we're looking or focusing on how or the alternative ways of getting accommodation for the people. Now, one of the companies that has come in with a new initiative, which we would want to share with you, has to do with rent to own. Now, this company believes that it's one way of getting as many Ghanaians as possible, because not everybody can actually buy their house outright. And so joining us for this evening to share a lot more with us is Daniel Ohini Edu of the Planned City Extension Project. And their initiative has to do with rent to own. And I'm going to get Daniel to share with us exactly what they mean by rent to own. Thank you very much, Daniel, for being part or making time to get to speak with us. So yes, you're going to be part, or you are part of the Joy News Habitat Fair, which starts with the mini clinics tomorrow. Tell us about this initiative, the Rent to Own initiative.
Thank you very much, Israel. The Rent to Own Land and House Ownership Scheme is an initiative under the Planned City Extension Project, which is expected, or which has come to deal with two main things. First of all, the problems that rapid unplanned urbanization brings. You can talk about flooding, congestion, pollution, sanitation issues, insecurity, and what have you. The other bit, which is key, is the provision of housing, because the District Assembly a few years ago determined that it's not going to allow its new areas to be, be inundated with slums all over the place. So that it meant that it needed to have its new areas planned properly before developments, set in. To this whole thing with housing, which is key. Which is what makes areas urbanize rapidly, whether it's planned or unplanned. Rent to own essentially means that you're going to have to register with us, either for land or the house, and you make a small initial deposit. You start making your monthly rentals. Now you pay up to 20%. Then your house, you move into your house and continue to pay up to 25 years or earlier. Then the house becomes yours. So by this, what we are saying is that irrespective of your income, you can pay as low as, or begin with as low as 699 Ghana cedis for a one-bedroom house, depending on the type of property you want, and maybe as high. Our highest is 1,900 Ghana cedis for a three-bedroom detached house. Essentially, that is our rent to own.
All right. So would you say that you fall within the affordable housing category, or yours is different?
Let me say that affordable is relative, but we are affordable in a sense that now whether you were a driver or you were a nurse or you were a teacher or you are a policeman or you belong to any of the security agencies, or irrespective of your income, civil servant, public servant, any trade that you are in, you can afford either a 2-bedroom apartment or house, detached or semi-detached, or a 3-bedroom apartment, detached or detached house. So we are really affordable. And the hallmark of our scheme or project is that it's flexible and it's interactive too.
All right. Now, you talk about the fact that you can, for as low as 699 cedis, you can get to own a property or become part of or benefit from this initiative. Now, how different is what you're offering from the regular mortgage? All right, the internet there has not been our best ally for this evening, but it's a great initiative. And if you want to hear more about it, of course, we can't settle or discuss and explain everything to you here and now. So you have to make a date with us. Be at the West Hills Mall. It starts from tomorrow for the mini clinics or the Joy News Habitat Fairs from 8 a.m. and it runs virtually throughout the day. You can get to hear a lot more about this because for as low as 699 cedis, you can actually begin to own or start the process or journey of owning your own home. And the planned city extension project folks, they're going to be there to tell you a whole lot more about that. Now, constituents of Ofinso North say the independent candidacy of renowned fetish priest Nana Kwaku Bonsam will not affect the outcome of the parliamentary race in the constituency. Despite the fetish priest's indication, his gods have assured him victory. Many believe he hasn't done much in terms of aiding development to earn their votes. He joins another independent candidate, Charles Kwabna Boateng Sumaila, and NDC's Caesar Ufozue Champong in the quest to deny Augustine Collins in team a third-time bid. Naneo Juma has been assessing the strength of all the candidates and has filed this report.
This is the Ofinso North constituency, and here there are two independent candidates contesting the NPP parliamentary candidate and MP, who is in the person of Collins in team. There is one Smiler and also renowned spiritualist Nana Kwaku Bonsam also contesting the seats here in the constituency. Nana Kwaku Bonsam is confident of victory because, according to him, his gods have assured him that when he contests this election, he will win. So we'll be talking to some of the constituents here to find out what exactly they think and feel about what's happening in this constituency. Papa, Nana Kwaku Bonsam, what do you say racing?
Oni ahoden sa just Collins team enuma awayenti obefa.
But Nana Kwaku Bonsam, last time I met you Okasa on radio so TV so no patch say and nam say the jumana oye no na bosom na ka chen say obetimi awen kofi so obetimi awen mu hu say eno na possible
say bibia no wache Nyankopon timi wo de entim be na so abosom na beto amana na say nipa na to amana Nyankopon timi so nti ejina ntimachi obe win.
All right, so he is also confident that the NPP candidate and current member of parliament for this constituency, Collins Intim, will retain his seat, despite Kwaku Bonsam's indication that his gods have given him the go-ahead and therefore he's winning this seat. But independent, but I couldn't say Mr. Smiler. On to me, baby.
Farboy, when you do sa. Onimunye dua obetimi awene aba no
Is it NDC so candidate to her?
Oh, crown munyedu.
So he also thinks it's a straight win for Collins in team. According to him, none of the other candidates has weight as Collins in team does. So it's a straight win, outright win for Collins in team. Nana Kwakubu some candidate channel. Who is saying?
On the me kumapa so nya de say me yesho me nuande onya. E no mo ba no nya de say that no kure kwa nya de say me nso mo magba no obi ametima a qualify.
Nana Kwakubu including Nana Kwakubu some.
Me nua pa no nya nche. Enso nya de say obenya.
Una e penya na so na e penya.
Me penyi.
Amba ko ba.
Ya busunya.
Okay. So this man, Apacho didn't say.
Yawaji.
This man I just spoke to, Yawajay, is a relative of Nana Kwakubu and Sam. And according to him, his relative has no chance in the upcoming elections. According to him, Collins Tintin, the incumbent MP, will still win. And he believes that it's possible that none of the independent candidates will make it through vetting. So probably, according to him, Nana Kwakubu and Sam might be dropped.
The Ashanti Region Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Sampine, says 4 members of the party in his region have been expelled for running for parliament as independent candidates. Contrary to reports that more than 20 members of the party are running independent in their stronghold, Mr. Pine says opposition NDC members are rather holding themselves out as MPP faithful to garner sympathy. He was speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV.
Ashanti, for instance, there's this guy in Bekwai that we know he's MPP. There's this man in Adanse,
I'm told you have over 23 or 25.
No, we have. I can give you 3 examples of people MPP. The rest are NDC guys who are contesting, and because Ashanti is the stronghold of the MPP, anybody comes, me MPP me. That's not the case. But I'm talking about people that we consider as MPP. We have the person who was the constituency chairman. He resigned to contest the primacy. He lost. That was in 2016. He came back in 2020. He lost, and now he decided to go in the back. I even had conversation with him. So, the poster that you see, I have no idea about it. So I asked him that if people are erecting posters and signboards for you as an independent, go for them. But then at the end of the day, he goes.
I just want to get it clear. So there are 3 people in the Ashanti region.
Not 3 people. I'm talking about. I'm giving examples that these are known MPP.
Do you know the number of known MPP people?
I know 4.
You know 4.
I know 4
in the Ashanti region.
Yes.
Ghana's former Deputy Ambassador to China, Horace Ni Ayi-Ankra, says NDC's manifesto is already forcing the government to change some of its policy initiatives. He says this is a clear indication the NDC will win the December 7 election. Ni Ayi-Ankra was speaking at a party event in the Otafo-Pankrono constituency. Mohammed Nuruddin was there and filed this report.
The theme for the event, rekindling the spirit of volunteerism and youth activism for Victory 2020, saw different speakers urging the youth to vote for the former president for better Ghana. Aspiring member of parliament for Otafo-Pankrono constituency on the ticket of the NDC, Samuddin Mohammed Kamil says the party is poised to change the lives of the youth in the constituency.
We in NDC are poised to change the life of the youngsters. We are poised to see that the future is brighter for all of us, and everybody can testify. There is no nation that can prosper when we don't have the youth that have a better future. The future of these youngsters are in the NDC. As we can all see, since 2016 up to today, the youth are suffering. No permanent job for them. As we can all testify, no vocational, no technical, nothing. The only thing that we've heard is some recruitment which are not sustainable. We are telling all NABCO beneficiaries that when NDC comes to power, it is going to be a permanent job for them, where they can get as equally salary as their counterparts in the other field.
Mr. Kamil says his leadership as a member of parliament will see to it that constant heavy vehicular traffic in the constituency is addressed.
We are going to, as an MP with the municipal, to build or to construct bus stop, which has been a major thing that is causing vehicular traffic. Right. So when we come, inshallah, we are going to ensure that these bus stops are built in Tafo constituency and its environs so that it will ease this major vehicular traffic.
Former Ghana's deputy ambassador to China, Ni Ai Ankra, states the NDC is the only political party that can rescue Ghana. According to him, the party's manifesto is causing problems for the government.
We have come out with what? Better policies. This is the first time that I have seen a political party's manifesto cause problems for the incumbent. So we can all see that the policies that the NDC has at the moment, which is a policy to enhance the Ghanaian, is the kind of manifesto that we've brought that has unsettled the MPP. So the chances of the NDC is very, very bright. It is the only party that can rescue Ghana from the claws of the incompetent MPP party.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
All right, so we'll be taking a break shortly for business, but I know a number of you have been reaching out to me, and they're interested in the rent-to-own initiative, which I mentioned, and which is coming up at the Habitat Fair, which begins tomorrow. The mini clinics begin tomorrow, and it's from the whole of the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday. It's from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and you can actually join virtually. I'll be telling you a bit more about that, but right now we're taking a break to bring you business.
Hello there, it's now time for business. Now, the Ghana International Trade Commission has debunked claims that the outcome of investigations between Aloex Limited and the importation of aluminium coils from China will spark a trade war between Ghana and China. The Trade Commission yesterday ruled in favor of Aloex, saying the importation of aluminium coil is causing material injury to the Ghanaian domestic industry. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Frank Ajikum, tells Joy Business the ruling is in conformity with the World Trade Organization's regulations on domestic trade.
Them know and respect us, that there are these regulations that you are using that we should also use in our country. It's not to stem, and since we are all part of WTO and we've signed on to the WTO regulations, we should be able to abide by the WTO regulations. So if you come and say that because you're a big country and whatever, I mean, then it means that you are trying to make us always what? Drawers of water. We all know that the bane of our development is that most times it's been said, and it's a truism, that industries in countries like ours are unable to thrive. And you set up an industry, and as it's growing, very soon they break down. When they break down, it means that people lose employment, profits are lost, and the government is not able to get the taxes for development as it needs, and so development is retarded. But under WTO regulations, there is a caveat for countries, all countries in the world, to set up such commissions as ours to deal with unfair trade practices, because many a time, the reason why our industries fail is due to unfair trade practices, where products are dumped on our markets. And so they make our markets, our products, uncompetitive. WTO has realized that these are some of the things that go against us. And in dumping here, we talk about, it's a very technical thing we look at, because dumping in this sense means that the product has been imported into Ghana from some country, is being sold at a cheaper rate in Ghana than even in their own countries. So you see that it's a specific and well-purposed thing that is done to break industries in our parts of the world. That's why we are not able to compete on an even keel. So such commissions as ours has come to try and reverse this. And if you see, all developed countries have such commissions protecting their markets, making sure that local industries thrive. So what the government has done through President Akufo-Addo is to make sure that we have some such institution here in Ghana to also protect our local manufacturing industries, to enable them to grow, to employ more people, to create more surplus and therefore pay more taxes for us to be able to build the roads, the schools, the hospitals, and whatever, and bring development and productivity and well-being to the Ghanaian.
And that's how we end business. I'm Charles Aite. Coming up next is sports with Gary L. Smith. Do stay.
Gary L. Smith here with the sport, and thank you for your time. We are 27 days away from the start of the upcoming season, and Mediama have already made their intentions clear to win. Board Chairman Dr. Tony Obeng believes that they have the quality to be champions. There's more in the following reports ahead of the Ghana Premier League by Haruna Mubarak.
Last few years, the Mauves and Yellows have been able to secure a foothold on the domestic scene, winning 2 FA Cups between 2013 and 2015. Prior to the abrupt end of the last 2 Ghana Premier League seasons, the Takwa-based club were strongly in the race for the title. Earlier this week, Mediama Sporting Club sealed a 300,000 sponsorship agreement with Goldfields Ghana ahead of the start of the new season next month. Board chairman of the club, Dr. Tony Obeng, says the team will not relent until a Premier League title is secured.
But for a few unfortunate situations, we would have won the league twice. The first time before normalization, we were leading. Before COVID, we were leading. And you see, we have been befallen by a lot of misfortune. So otherwise, we will not be here. But if you look at our age and our achievements, there's no question that we are doing very well. But we are not going to rest on our laurels. This is not enough. We will have to win the league. We have to win something from Africa.
Dr. Obeng added that Mediama Sporting Club are putting structures in place in order to make room for fans to assist the club financially.
These days, support is not just about, for want of better word, about shouting, about saying Oseye, about singing. Support means support. Support your club. In this COVID period, where football was not going on, players had to be paid, accommodation had to be paid. This is the time our supporters must show support, not shouting. So in Mediama, we are going to come out with a package which will allow our supporters to, contribute, to be actual part of the club by making some small contributions. After all, there are some people who are in Liverpool, they are in Ghana, but they pay money as supporters for Liverpool. There are Manchester United people here in Ghana, they pay pounds to support Manchester. So we have to think about that.
The Mauves and Yellows will host Great Olympics on match day 1 of the upcoming season, which commences on November 13.
But that's the sport for now. Don't forget to tune in to later George Addo Jr.'s documentary. That's the Basketball Invincibles during the time 10 p.m. Right now, we have editorial with Araba Kumsin and Gary L. Smith, and that's the sport.
Now, over the last few days, security, or the lack of it, has been on the tips of many tongues, particularly following the alleged murder of the Infantsiman MP, Eko Kwanzaa Hayford. The death of Mr. Hayford, may he rest in peace, reignited calls by members of parliament for the state to take seriously their security as elected representatives of the people. This, of course, is not the first time the legislators have raised this concern. In 2006, following the murder of former MP for Ebuakwa North Constituency, J.B. Dankwa, the MPs sounded the clarion call for the state to provide them with security. Many of them recount harrowing tales of near-death experiences. They argue they would not have happened had they been given police protection. So, of course, it was no surprise when they repeated their calls for police protection and vigorously defended their demand.
Make the commitment to ensure that those that we select to lead us are also given the needed protection. We as members of parliament also need security. It is important we pass the laws that are putting restrictions on movement and the work of criminals. So we are always the target of the criminals.
But not everyone took this lying down. The demand by the legislators was immediately rejected by some members of the public, as well as security analysts who asked the MPs to call for broadened discussions on security for everyone, not just themselves.
Tendency of parliamentarians, to look after their interests first, and sometimes not even address the interests of the rest of society. We have widened the inequalities in society, and now I've started calling it security apartheid, which is simply more security for some and less security for others.
Now, in spite of the opposition by a section of the Ghanaian public, government decided it was time to give the MPs what they wanted.
I want you to note that security for parliamentarians has always been the principle. So I want you to understand that the protection of members of parliament is part of the general national security architecture.
200 police personnel. Already, there are questions about the implication of this decision on the operations of the police service, even as we head into what is undoubtedly going to be a fiercely fought election requiring all the security apparatus we can muster. Or whether government's decision was born out of political expediency or genuine concern for the legislators' security heading into the elections, that pronouncement split public opinion.
Well, I can't say no to our MPs because we all know the role they play.
There are other areas where the police is more needed than just to escort MPs to go and campaign.
As for the MPs, they have some rank. So, like, people target them more than...
Perhaps these mixed reactions that greeted government's decision to provide state-sponsored bodyguards were expected, as many as believe that these elected officials represent citizens' interests and as such they should be protected, especially because they are more exposed. Many more believe that this decision is a selfish one and one that may expose the vulnerable in society, since the security agencies will focus on a privileged few instead of the masses. And as the voice of the people, the media, of course, highlighted this division, but rather received the blame by Deputy Defense Minister, himself an MP, for the public's opposition to the decision.
You, the media, you incite the general public against us. We must be frank. So the Interior Minister is saying that, yes, they have enough police people to provide security for MPs and provide security for the whole nation.
But why is there such a hue and cry about providing police protection for MPs? What pertains in other jurisdictions? In the UK, the Prime Minister, past Prime Ministers and senior front benchers have close protection officers from the Metropolitan Police Specialist Protection Branch. But generally, backbenchers don't. The main reason for this is accessibility. MPs are public figures. They are the people's elected representatives in Parliament. They want and need to be accessible to the public. Having a bodyguard present would make them appear less approachable to the public. A similar situation pertains in the US. Members of the House and Senate leadership have the protection of the US Capitol Police on a constant basis, but ordinary members do not, unless there is some cause for concern. So essentially, all members are eligible for personal protection, but only in the event of a threat. Now, do we feel our MPs are being threatened in a manner that necessarily requires protection for them? Whether you consider government's decision as prudent or as a waste of taxpayers' money, that debate will rage. But if for nothing, this controversy has highlighted the crucial need for government to identify what accounts for the rise in the armed attacks, because that is where the problem is. And then they will proffer lasting solutions to avoid more lives being snuffed out needlessly. Because believe it or not, Mr. Politician, even an armed escort is not enough to guarantee your safety.
All right, so that will be all for the bulletin. But as I promised, I'm going to tell you a bit more about the Joy News Habitat Fair mini clinics, which is coming up starting from tomorrow. So there you have it. It's the affordable housing beyond the rhetoric, and it's at the West Hills Mall. It's Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you want to know more about the Rent to Own initiative, you can join us and get to know a whole lot more. The Joy News Habitat Fair is sponsored by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. All right, so that's it. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.